Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into today's episode of Canal Days, what life was like in the industrial Connecticut River Valley. As always, I'm your host Carrie, along with my co-host, founder of the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Como. Our Canal Days series explores historic sites throughout Massachusetts, with Robert's expertise of the state's history as our personal guide. Each episode we discover another historic location or landmark, exploring the significance within. Today's episode will be exploring the burial grounds of Southampton, Massachusetts throughout their history. So, whereabouts are the Protestant cemeteries within Southampton?
There are three of them, but by far the biggest one, of course, is Southampton Center Cemetery. Started in 1738, I believe. This was before it even was a town. It was part of Northampton. But there are so many settlers out there, they needed to start one close to the center of Southampton itself. And there probably was a church there, probably very nearby, because most cemeteries back then were churchyard cemeteries. Then the next one started out was probably the Gridley Cemetery, and then the next one was the West Park Cemetery out in the northwest corner of Southampton. So you needed some for a family, some for a neighborhood cemetery, and the first one was the big one, the churchyard one. And they're all still in existence, and the Southampton Center Cemetery is on the National Register of Historic Places. It has thousands of burials compared to the others, which have 9 and about 50 burials or so. So the Protestants were well taken care of, and most people that died in Southampton would be buried in those locations, except the cases where the family plot was in another community around Massachusetts.
And what about the Catholic burials? Where can they be found?
Well, there's no Catholic cemetery in Southampton, but there were Catholics that lived in Southampton. And so the easy answer you might say, oh, the St. Mary's Cemetery of Northampton. Sure, some were buried there, but the vast majority were buried in Hampton County. First, at the St. Matthew's Cemetery of Springfield, which was started about 1845, and was the first Catholic cemetery of Western Massachusetts. Then in 1852, they got a near neighbor in Chicopee. Those two cemeteries are about 100 yards apart from each other only. And the Calvary Cemetery in Chicopee was the second Catholic cemetery ever in Western Massachusetts. And you can see in the burial records of Southampton, people being buried in the 1840s, 1850s, 1860s out in Chicopee and in Springfield. So they definitely were in those two cemeteries. Now, the most common burial site for Catholics by far is in the St. Jerome Cemetery in Holyoke, which is the oldest Catholic cemetery of Holyoke. And the reason why is that a lot of the Catholics in Southampton were Irish Catholics who probably came for the mill jobs in Holyoke and then started expanding outwards into Southampton onto the farms there. They were used to farm labor, and they left the mills and went to work out in Southampton. But they had either family plots at St. Jerome's, or they went into the individual section of St. Jerome's with the other Irish Catholics. And then by the 1880s, you could see more and more people, Catholics, being buried out in St. Mary's Cemetery.
And stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this quick break. Are you fascinated by history and eager to explore the hidden gems of Massachusetts? Or maybe just looking for an enjoyable cultural activity for the family? Look no further than Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, founded by Robert Como. With over a decade of experience, Robert offers captivating public tours and presentations of historic sites and landmarks throughout the state. Whether you're interested in canals, cemeteries, or charming old churches, Robert's tours provide a unique and enriching experience for all. And that's not all. You can also book private tours tailored to your interests, ensuring a personalized and unforgettable adventure. Perfect for families or groups of all sizes and offer fun educational activities that bring history to life. Simply visit hoyokecanaltour.org or email bobcat4214 capital B at yahoo.com to schedule your private tour today. But wait, there's more. Don't miss out on Robert's podcast and video series, Canal Days, where you can dive even deeper into the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. Plus, for those who may not be local or would rather enjoy it on the go or from the comfort of their home, Canal Days brings the history right to your screen. So why wait? Discover the past with historical tours of Greater Holyoke and make memories that will last a lifetime. And be sure to check out hoyokecanaltour.org. So back to Canal Days and our burial grounds of Southampton episode. In what area are the Jewish cemeteries amongst Southampton?
All right. So, like the Catholics, Jewish people of Southampton do not have any cemeteries out there, and like the Catholics, they not even have a religious structure to have masses in. They probably went to mass or their religious ceremonies in Northampton, which did have a synagogue. And Northampton has two Jewish cemeteries. They date from about 1919 teens era, and they still exist and are still in use. And so I've looked through the burial records of Southampton for the 1800s, but I'm going to check the 1900s and see if I can find a Jewish person that would be buried in those cemeteries in Northampton. There were other options, of course, with Springfield, but Northampton is the most likely case. Now, most Jewish people like to go to cities, and so to find one out in the towns, like the Irish Catholics, didn't care so much. But to find one out in the towns might be harder, but I'll keep looking.
And can you clarify for us, are there any Native American burial grounds in the town, and where can they be found?
Of course, there's Native American burials in Southampton, but I don't know where they are, and I'm not sure anyone in Southampton knows. But I'm going to keep researching. Maybe some have been found in the past. Usually, Native American burials are next to bodies of water, and so thus, one good option might be one of the branches of Manhattan River. But I've never heard of one being pulled up. Of course, not much of Southampton has been dug up to the depth about 5 feet that you need to go to find a burial of this. Other communities, though, around the area have found Native American burials in the soil of that community. Holyoke, Southampton, Westfield, Granby, Hatfield, and Hadley have all found Native American burials, and you're pretty sure that someday you're going to find one, but I just don't know where they are at this point. Now, to close with, I'm going to have a special event this year, and I'll give you a clue, but it only pertains to 2025. In the fall of this year, I'm giving a program entitled The Burial Grounds of Southampton Throughout Its History, and I'm going to go through all the cemeteries in Southampton, plus all the cemeteries in surrounding communities that were used by Southampton. Now, some of the cases I might not have mentioned yet. What about the very early settlers before the center cemetery was made? They would probably have been buried in the Bridge Street Cemetery of Northampton. And if you don't think any of the early settlers died before the cemetery came around, think of children. Children would die at an incredible rate in the 1700s and 1800s. And so Southampton's children's burials are probably brought out to the Bridge Street Cemetery. The same with the Catholics. Before Springfield and Chicopee cemeteries, the first two Catholic cemeteries, there was a cemetery in Connecticut where a lot of early Catholics were buried, and then in Boston. So there's always locations. So hope I see you at the event at the Edwards Library, and thank you very much.
And we want to give a special thanks to our listeners for tuning in and tuning into Canal Days and today's episode of the burial grounds of Southampton and joining us on our journey through the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. We hope you enjoyed uncovering some of the hidden gems and fascinating stories that shape our past in the state of Massachusetts. And again, a special thanks to Robert Comu, founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, for sharing his passion and expertise with us. Remember, you can find more information about Robert's tours, book private tours, and explore Canal Days video and podcast series at holyokecanaltours.org. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and share, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, keep exploring and discovering the history that surrounds us. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to tune in to our next episode of Canal Days. And thank you for tuning in.